Hey, everybody, welcome to the Outer Belt Summer Recap. I'm Patrick, and you all know my friends.
Chili.
Buttermilk.
Some shady.
And Jerry.
And we're back for part 2
Yeah.
of the, or as they say in England, pip
Two.
pip.
I love it.
Oh no, this is part 2 of the summer recap. If you haven't heard last week's episode, go back and listen to it. This will make a whole lot more sense.
A lot more sense.
A lot more sense. How much more sense do you think it'll make?
2 times.
I think 35.
Really?
Sense.
35 more cents?
More sense, yeah.
Huh.
How
I
about
know.
a pip pip?
Hooray.
How about 35 pence?
I was going to say,
Ah, that's too many mics. So,
how about a penny for your thoughts?
well,
My thoughts are worth
I
more than
thought,
that.
yeah, I was going to say, didn't we agree to $10 an episode?
so.
No.
Why are we doing
Yeah.
a
All
penny?
right.
Shh. Jerry's like, when did we agree to that?
That's because our non-sponsors are non-sponsoring us
I know,
anymore.
they're so
Yeah,
cheap.
They are cheap.
They're so
What
cheap.
happened to Lever 2000? I thought they were going to non-sponsor us.
Oh, you know what's funny? I'm actually using Lever 2000 right now in the shower. Not great. Times they are
And
changing.
if you don't know what that's about, you have to go way back to like
Way
season
back.
1.
Way back
Way
to
back.
season 1, back
Yeah.
when we were still young and fresh,
Yep.
Sitting at a table.
sitting at no, 2 tables.
Yeah.
2 tables.
2 tables.
2 turntables.
Yeah, we were doing the Wiki Whack Whack
Mhm,
Wiki.
We were.
Yeah, we were
way
shooting.
back.
Yeah,
You were 3 tables in the very
There
beginning.
were 3
very
tables.
beginning, 3 tables.
Three
That's
of 'em.
right.
Ooh,
We have.
Trio.
Well, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 tables.
We've grown.
Not as high.
They're not all smushed together either.
They're not. Yeah, yeah. We've separated. We've added more people.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have.
But that's not what we're here to talk about
No.
today. Today we're here to discuss part 2 of the summer Outer Belt summer recap. And what have we done? And the question everybody's been dying for a week to know is,
Yes.
Did you
or did you not?
go back to Iceland with your father and your sister?
I did not go back to Iceland with my father or
You
my
are
sister.
not the father.
I love you anyways. So I did not. We took a British Isles cruise. Do you know where that is?
No.
I'm gonna guess Britain,
Britain.
Great Britain,
Great Britain.
Great.
the
Britain.
Isles around Great Britain.
That's right. How did you know that?
I just deduced it from it being called the British Isles Tour
Cruise.
cruise,
Isn't
and figured maybe it was the Isles around Great Britain.
That's correct.
Is an Isles an island, or is Isles something much different, like smaller than an island?
I was gonna ask that same
Oh,
question.
I'm not really sure what an.
It's
Or is it
like
just
it's
a
like
fancy
when
word?
you walk into a church
Yes.
and you're walking between the pews.
Yes.
You're walking down the
Oh,
aisles.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have multiple aisles.
Got it.
And or is it Isles be back? I don't know. There's so many ways you can use this term. It's very confusing. I don't understand it. But no, in this case, it is islands.
Islands.
So it's
We-
like the Hawaiian Isles.
Very similar, but
Okay.
more British, less Polynesian,
Oh,
and a whole lot colder.
Gotcha.
Where are they?
Isles of
Like,
British.
where are? I mean, I could obviously Google
Around
and
Britain.
Wikipedia it. So they're around Britain.
Well, so you have obvious. You have England,
Yes.
Wales,
Okay.
Scotland,
Okay.
Northern Ireland,
Okay.
Southern Ireland. No, that's not true. It's just Ireland. And then I guess that's it, isn't it?
Well, don't forget, way down here you have the British Virgin Islands.
Yeah. Well, we didn't. That was a bit. That was the 2.5-month cruise, and we didn't,
Oh,
we didn't have time for
Got
that.
it.
No.
Got it.
No, and then you got to take something like P&O or Canard. You got to
Right.
really do it.
Really do it
Proper
right. Yeah,
British.
proper British.
So-
Daily afternoon tea.
absolutely. This was a much
Yeah.
shorter cruise. We only did it for 8 days instead of 14.
Gin and tonic
uh,
for breakfast.
Right, right, and or what I really like is the strawberry gin.
Yes.
They call it pink gin over
Pink
there. They
gin?
don't call it strawberry
Mm.
gin because they can't say strawberry or something. So, it's a
With alcohol,
strawberry.
yeah.
It doesn't flow right. So they call it pink gin, and you add a little lemonade to it.
Yeah.
Lemonade.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Wow.
But anyways, I feel like we're tangenting here, and we
Yeah,
don't need
okay,
to tangent.
so
We need to be on track.
Dad
So-
and Mel surprised
Dad
you.
and Mel surprised us, and so we ended up doing the British Isles cruise. Had a great time. I do recommend that one. It was fun. Again, it was a shorter cruise. What really gets under my crawl though is we were not able to keep our same room. So even though we were on a back-to-back cruise,
Yeah.
and even though we were literally like same ship, everything, Eric and I did not get off the boat, like at all, in Dover, well, except for the last day.
Sure.
And
It's actually the most relaxing
it was great.
time ever being on a cruise
That
ship.
was so awesome. I highly recommend it. Because they did still have
When they tell you to get off, don't get off. Just stay on.
Yeah, they still had one bar open. And it was super early in the morning, and look, I love to drink. Y'all have all partied with Hyfield. You know how we do. I'm not drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'm sorry, just not doing it.
Right.
Unless I haven't quit from the night before. That's
Okay,
different. That's different.
I was gonna say.
That's different. But
Loser.
no, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm not doing it. So at that point, I'm just drinking bottles of waters. But at least they had a bar open, so you could go get bottles of water or coffee or anything like that. So a soda. That was kind of nice. But what a cluster. So the way they do it on a back-to-back, a lot of times you stay in the same room. They just keep you in the same room, no big deal. Well, when we made the cruise arrangements, there was no 2 rooms that lined up. So we didn't have a choice but to switch rooms. But they really take care of you when you do that. Like, we didn't put our luggage out with everybody the night before. We actually just had to leave our luggage, like pack it and leave it on the bed.
Mm.
And then they moved it to our room and like literally brought it and put it in our room, as opposed to like if you are the first, if you're your first day on the cruise, they leave it outside your room and then
Right.
you have to go collect it and you have to walk up and down the hall to find your stuff. This was literally in the room waiting on us, so that was really
That's
nice.
cool.
They gave us a free picture. They gave us. They came around during dinner time one night and gave us asked us seating accommodations for the next cruise, what we prefer, all that stuff. So we were able to keep our same waitress. We were able to stay in our same seat. Everything, nothing on that end changed. Only our room changed, and it's the same classroom, same everything. And man, I wish we could have stayed in our first room. The internet was basically non-existent in our room,
Wow.
which was crazy because y'all complained about that, didn't y'all? When y'all were on the cruise, y'all talked about how bad the internet was, and I was like, man, it's lightning fast in our cabin. I couldn't understand that. And then when we switched over to the new cabin, sure enough, lost it.
Just that
Yeah.
far enough away from the hotspot.
I guess it was so strange. But irregardless, we still made the best of it.
Irregardless, yeah.
Still made the best of it. Had a good time. And we went to
the
where'd we go?
British Isles.
The British Isles. We went to Wales, which there's no whales there.
No?
That is shocking.
Well, there's Wales. They just don't have the H in them.
Yes, and the people are Welsh, but there's no grape juice.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
about Wales is
This is
not like you would
wrong.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful country, looks just like England. Which is, if you look at a map, it's literally like they just carved a piece of England out next to Wales. I know that's not really how it is. If you are Welsh, I'm sorry if that was insensitive, but that's what it looks like on a map.
yes.
Really great people. Had a lovely time there. Really nice people. We did a tour to some resort. I don't even know what you call this. Do you remember that?
It was
The
a
garden,
town.
a town.
It was a town
It
at
was
one
a
time.
fake. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even a real town. It was all fake. That's what was so weird about it.
Like a movie set?
Sure. So this eccentric billionaire
Okay.
bought this property, and on the water, and it's a big hill, and it's steep. Downhill to the water and up. You're hiking. It's a rough walk. And he built all these paths throughout the land, which was great. We walked several of them, had a great time. But then the main draw is that there's a hotel down by the water, and then between the parking lot and the hotel, which is a very long walk, like they have golf carts that bring the hotel guests back and
Okay.
forth because it's a very long walk. But they built a fake town, and it's only open, a few hours a day, and it's all ran by the resort, but it's not really resorty. It was super strange, very, very odd place. And it's like Alice in Wonderland fake stuff. Like it's just all fake. It's like Disney World fake.
Interesting.
It's very strange, a very weird place. A lot of us on the bus ride back were like, that is not what we expected. It was very strange. I wish I remember the name of it. But it was a very odd place. But we spent like 5 hours there. We were there
Is
for
that
a
the
very
one?
long time.
They had the fake lighthouse.
Yes.
on the trail?
Yes.
Okay, it's kind of like Disney. He was a Disney wannabe, and he
Didn't have the budget.
Disneyized
Didn't
it.
have the budget or the creativity. I don't know. It was odd. It was very strange. But
And they call it a tourist area.
kinda.
Must be big for their.
But it's not even old. Like it was built in the early 1900s. So it's
Yeah, but it's still probably a part of their history.
sure.
Because it took up a big portion of the land on the water.
I guess.
It's a great way to get revenue for the people of Wales.
There you go.
Okay. This had the feeling if it only made a couple people rich. So we did that. Had a few beers there and a couple sandwiches, and then we left. And keep in mind before we got there, we went by a castle, like a 15th, 13th century castle,
Okay.
and then on the way back we go by another castle, and it's like, why can't we see that stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know,
Right.
something that's less than 100 years old feels weird.
Right.
But we go to the quarry. So like Wells is really big in slate quarrying, slate mining. And that was really cool to see because we were going to some slate mines that are hundreds of years old.
Wow.
And the way they dug out the mountain and everything and the way they processed it. We went to a slate processing plant and had the largest water wheel I've ever seen in my life. That thing was 54 foot in diameter. Is that right,
Wow.
Eric?
That sounds cool.
I think it was 54 foot is what it said
We're
on the
gonna go
little
with that.
plaque.
Yeah.
Trying to
It,
remember.
it was huge. Huge.
A well?
Water wheel.
Oh,
A
wheel.
water wheel.
Got it.
Like
Wow.
you've seen like a river and the water comes
Yeah.
across it. Yeah, that thing. Huge.
Wow.
And it ran, pulley system runs all the like
Right.
honing and all the stuff to get the slate down to a perfect shingle and all that stuff. It was really interesting. And it dates back to like 1700s. So it's, again, very cool to see all this really old stuff and how massive those mines are. They're gigantic. And then we left there and ended up going over to the longest named town in the world. Yeah.
Longest named town in the world.
Yes.
Like the name of the town is
The
It's
name of
not-
the town
or
is
Most letters.
the most letters.
Hmm.
And I would pronounce it for you, but I don't speak Welsh, so I can't.
How
but
many letters does it have?
Too many.
Okay.
I could count real quick, but we don't have 5 minutes to spare.
Really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Will you put it right there for us?
Yeah, can we put it right here?
Or will it be like multi-hyphenated?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Jerry does this.
Yeah.
He's gonna just slap it right across your face
There you
right
go,
now. It's
probably.
just gonna be like, I'll show you. It's a really interesting town.
It's going to be font 3. So you can get it all in there.
But it's a really cool place. And then we went to back to the boat. And that was it. But that was a pretty long day. I mean, like I said, we spent 5 hours at that one site. And then from Wales, we ended up going over to. I'm gonna get all the geography wrong of where we went.
Dolphins?
So, Dolphin Island, Alabama. We were in Alabama.
Whales, dolphins.
We went to Glasgow.
Mm.
Ooh.
Yes. And in Glasgow, I made the mistake the night before of having too much fun.
Ah.
Yeah.
So I missed Glasgow. But I heard it was nice.
Okay.
Is Glasgow where the lock was?
Yes. Y'all did tell us about that. Because I heard it was a wonderful experience and nothing at all was weird about it.
Like a Loch Ness Monster lock?
So,
No, so the top level of the river and the bottom level of the river was too far apart. So they needed a quicker way to get from way up here to way down here.
like the canal, like
Like the lock on the
Panama
canal.
Canal
Yeah.
locks.
Yes, but they needed it started out with multiple layer locks and it was too long. So what they did was they created a device which you have to look online to
No,
see
hold
exactly
on. It'll
what it
be
is.
right there over your shoulder. Wow, that's
That's quick.
interesting.
That's really quick.
Wow, look at that thing.
Yeah.
It's mechanical. It looks huge.
It does.
So, yeah, we took a long bus ride to get to it. This was another weird one because the second we got off the bus, we ran around the tours building to get in line for the boat. But basically what it does, as you can see from the picture they showed, the boat will go into like call it a pool. They'll shut off the back end of the pool and this whole thing will rotate around. And then when it gets to the top, it already has water where the boat's at. So it just opens a door and the boat can float out of it onto the top level of the lock. And it's balanced out because there's water in both sections at all times.
How
So you
interesting.
don't have to worry about, I'm at the top, the weight of the boat's going to make it swing back down to the bottom. Not the case because they have water at the bottom as well. So it's a perfectly balanced system that gets boats from way at the bottom to, I want to say, 6, 7 stories. I don't know how many feet that is.
So it's like a
Wow.
wheel, kind of like a fan wheel?
Yes.
It spins.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
It looks very industrial, very gray all around.
What a neat engineering aspect.
Yeah.
Well, what y'all did was like a bus tour, or like you actually rode it, right?
Yes, we did ride it. We got in the boat, went up to the top. It went out all the way to where the river turns, basically. It turned around and it came back out, and we rode it back down to the bottom.
And it sounds very scenic, like everybody would have had a great scenic. No?
Not at all. We got in it. It had a covering over it. Yeah, believe it or not, you couldn't see much of anything. All you could see was out the sides. And
If you didn't have the right
actually,
seat,
we
you
got
probably
it.
couldn't see.
We got into it, and we were just talking, me, his dad, and sister, and like all of a sudden we realized we're not on the ground anymore. The thing was already halfway up before we even realized it was moving.
But
Wow.
That's how quiet and slow and subtle it was.
Yeah.
What a neat experience.
That's cool.
I know. I
That's really
really,
cool.
it's something I really wanted to do. And again, that morning, I was like, not happening. I don't care what could be laying on the other side of that door. I'm not. I'm not gonna make it. I can't make it. But
Yeah, so when the boat got to the lock, brought the boat to the top, it floated out of it. It went through a short tunnel, got to the end, and had just enough space to turn the boat around and then go back through the tunnel and back into the lock before it went down.
Interesting. That would be cool.
Yeah.
And this was in Glasgow, you said?
Yes,
Very nice.
after a very long bus ride, which if you do your excursions, most of them are long bus rides to get to
Somewheres.
wherever they're showing you.
They provide you water on those?
some
No.
some did,
If
but
you're
most
lucky,
don't.
they'll provide you lunch, but
Yeah.
a lot of them will get away without providing lunch.
Yeah, yeah. So we left there. They had and it's funny because I kind of got a heads up. I was talking to Melissa. I was like, "How was it?" She was like, "I really enjoyed it, but Dad and Eric kind of hated it." So
Yep.
she already prepped me for it. So when we got to dinner, I was like, "So how was it?"
That's funny.
Footnote, without being rude, I thought it was the most boring thing ever. Like I said, we were talking to each other and didn't even realize it had started moving until we're halfway up, going to the top. So
Based
Wow.
on everything I heard, I definitely missed the ideal one to miss. I feel pretty good
I
about that
see.
because I only missed
Yeah.
one, and I'm glad I missed that one.
Well, it sounds like it's a pretty cool feat of engineering, though. If you're into that type of thing,
Yeah.
Yes.
it's a great way of transporting people, items from one level to the other level
Yeah.
without having to keep continuing to step down. It seems like a really cool feat of engineering. I can see where riding it though isn't that big
Exciting.
Of a deal. Yeah.
I think it'd be more fun. Like so in Great Britain, Scotland, London, both have it. You can rent these longboats, they call them, and they're basically like an RV on the
Okay.
water. And you can actually do the canal system, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to do the locks all yourself, and it's very manual, and it's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it at some point in my life. I think doing that and incorporating that wheel into it would be like a
It
sense
would
of
be really cool.
accomplishment and
Yeah.
like, hey, this is look what we just
Yeah.
did. It's cool. Plus, you're out in the open. There's no roof above you, so you do get to see everything.
Yeah.
I think that would be really great. Cramming into the little boat like y'all got crammed into, and I don't.
yeah, it was packed with people, and like I said, the covering wasn't clear. It wasn't a
Opaque or
open
anything,
ceiling.
yeah.
It was really difficult to see. The only view you really had was left and right into the horizon. When you're going up it, the center piece of the whole mechanism blocks your view half of the time, and you can't
Yeah.
even. if you have a boat going up and a boat going down, you can never see the other boat because the center piece was like
Blocking it.
10 feet thick.
Wow.
Imagine how much weight it's got, though. I mean, it
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Right?
It's
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
lot of weight on that thing, but
But I imagine it requires the least amount of energy because, like I said, the amount of water on the bottom, on the top, it's besides the boat
well,
that's in it,
for
it's
the
kind of
yeah,
equal.
for the rotation, it's
force.
counterbalanced. But once both are in the air, all the weight of both of those cars are riding on that one
Right.
Yeah,
centerpiece.
so the pressure, the weight into the ground's bad,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, it sounds really interesting. I mean, again, it's what I wanted to see, but after hearing y'all talk about it, if I was gonna miss an excursion, I'm glad it's that one.
Sure.
Sounds like it would have
Um,
been interesting to see from the ground level or the lower lake
yeah.
level.
Did y'all
and
get
then
to
just
see that
watch it.
or no?
But just watch the mechanics as opposed to doing a whole boat. I guess maybe either or would have been an option. Would have been nice, and maybe just to watch it from the ground level.
Well, like I said, whenever the bus finally got to the place, they were rushing us into the boat, and once they got us in the boat, we were waiting 15 minutes or
I-
more. It felt like.
Yeah, I do hate that. I mean, it's one thing that we cruise a lot. I think would be a fair assessment. You
It
could
Yes.
would
say.
be, yeah.
We're
Um,
seasoned.
And we've done a lot of excursions, and we don't do a lot of excursions. We are very particular on when we do and when we don't do one. Anytime I'm in Europe, typically we do, because it's so different than like your typical Caribbean port or whatever. It's not as easy to like figure your way out. I mean, a lot of your ports in the Caribbean or in South America, if I don't want to do anything, I can just go sit on the beach,
Sure.
right? Like there's something to do.
Sure.
You get into, I mean, the European ports, a lot of times you're in the middle of like a freight place. Like there's a crane unloading a truck, I mean, a ship behind you and another one in front of you doing the same thing. Like you're not in a scenic, pretty
A
area.
cruise terminal.
You're not in a cruise terminal per
Yeah.
se. You're a lot of times in a very industrial area, so it's a little more tricky. But yeah, I hate when you get on excursion and they just rush you through everything. I have had that happen before, and it's frustrating. You can't be in the moment. And of course, I've been on the opposite side where it's been very laid back. I think a lot of the Iceland ones we did were pretty darn laid back, which I loved.
Or you can't wait to get off the four-wheeled vehicle.
Yes, that one was too laid back. That they could have picked it up a notch on that one.
For sure.
But no, so we did the next day we were in, I'm trying to get my days right. We did Belfast next, I think. So we got to go back to Belfast, only this time my sister is a huge Titanic nut. She's been to all the Titanic museums here in America. And so I knew. I didn't even ask, didn't even question. I just knew we were doing Titanic that day, right? Like
That was
that's-
not an excursion.
that was not an excursion, but I knew we were going. Like it was
Right.
just facts. And so when we talked to Melissa before we went on the trip, she's like, "Yeah, I've already booked those 4 tickets to the museum, and
Oh,
I've already done online and researched, and we're gonna take the taxi from here to here. And we pick it up. I mean, like, and everything went exactly the way she said it would. Like you could tell she definitely had figured that one out. I like the Titanic because I'm a big cruise ship nerd, but like I'm a little over it. I've seen the movies. I've seen a lot of documentaries on it. I get it. So I've never been to a Titanic museum in America. Doesn't excite me. I'm just not that. As much as I like it, and you would think I would like that engineering stuff, I'm over it. This was something I'd never seen before. The whole museum was dedicated to the construction of the Titanic. Like 90% of the museum is construction. And it was extremely interactive and very tastefully and well done, to the point where you enter, like they talked about the huge gantry cranes they had to build to go over the shipyard to build this thing, right? The huge cranes go over it. And so, and the scaffolding and all. So in the museum, they're all gone. So they just built one for you to see. And then they had an elevator take you up. So we literally like rode an elevator through a gantry crane, went to the top level. Then when you get off the top level, you walk around this thing and you admire it. And then they took you on a interactive theme park ride, basically, hanging
Okay.
from a
A
track.
gondola.
The gondola hanging from a track, and you went through, and they had everything set up as if you were taking a tour through the actual shipyard where they built the thing, and in
wow.
various stages of construction. Super cool. There was so much stuff where they talked about like at the time, Belfast was world famous for their linen. They made all this linen, and so like all the bed sheets and all the stuff for all the cruises they were, or all the, they weren't cruises, they were ocean liners back then. All the ocean liners were coming out of there. All the hotels in Europe were getting their linens from that used linens, because a lot of them still used cotton back then too. But all that stuff was coming out of Belfast. So they explained all that. They explained why they had all the metallurgists and how old the shipyard was and how they rebuilt Belfast. Like literally, it's just like a little river that comes up to Belfast, which is fine in the 1500s when it's just like a little one-masted sailing vessel as a commercial rig. But as things got bigger, they talked about how the government built all these locks, and they expanded, and they really changed the whole way Belfast looks. It was fascinating. I mean, like it's fascinating. They had mock-ups inside there of what the individual staterooms look like. They had the different, like all the different prints for the china and for the silverware and everything, and just everything that had to do with the construction side of it. And they explained it in such good detail. What did a construction worker's life look like? What all that stuff? How did they handle safety? Everything. It was phenomenal. How they launched it, how exciting that was. All this. I mean, like it was great. And again, I've never seen a museum that museums don't focus on that. The Titanic experience, they
Right.
focus on the constructed, built thing, and then the crash. They don't really focus on that construction aspect of it.
The workers' condition.
Or to
The
build up
workers'
to how they,
conditions. Yes,
like you said, from a little boat to the,
yes,
like, that's history.
yes. And they did go through a pretty detailed explanation of Belfast. I mean, it was a whole giant section on just Belfast. Nothing to do with Titanic. We're not even there yet. Like you need to have this understanding of the area, and it was really good. It was really well thought out. It's very interactive, very nice museum. And I'm not a huge museum person. They nailed it. They did an excellent job. If you go to Belfast, go to the museum. I feel bad you and Don didn't get to go
I was
because
about to
it
say that
was
would have been interesting to see.
it shockingly, like, really really well done.
Kudos to Melissa.
And you are on the site where they built it.
Yeah.
Like that is literally the site where they built it, and then you can actually walk out behind the place and see the slipway where they launched it into the water. They have we have pictures because they have a glass window in one section where they actually have a model of how they did it, and then they have the countdown. Then they have like video and audio stuff of it actually happening, so you can like really imagine how this. Oh, it's crazy good, crazy good.
I've seen a barge launch before. That's
What-
pretty amazing. A barge,
Yeah.
big-
Oh yeah.
I've seen one of those that was all built,
Yeah.
and I went to the launch party.
Was it a party?
It was a party.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything fancy. It was gonna haul product of some sort.
Yeah.
But they make it a big party,
Yeah.
and the important people that need to be there are there. And the champagne bottle was cracked, and they do it in a bag though, just FYI nowadays. So
Oh, they don't want glass going everywhere? Why not?
No. But and they do all of the animal fat, the tallow.
Yeah.
Because it's biodegradable and it's okay to be in the waters. This was the waters of the Columbia River in Portland, and a couple of wax which blows my mind that just a few things are holding all this steel on a
Yes.
slope.
Yeah.
One tap or two, and it's all gone
Yeah.
in the water. And it's so heavy. It's
Well-
steel, but the wave it makes, and the tugboats are out there kind of
Guiding
to
it.
corral it, and it's a pretty amazing. And when they do the countdown, you better be ready, and don't blink, and don't be on your phone, don't be doing anything else, because as soon as they move those blocks, that are holding it, it's in the water. It's done.
And that was a barge. Imagine
A ship.
1,000-foot long ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
and they said it took like 30-something seconds to make that whole trip. So it started out slow. So they actually talked about that too, how they launched it and how they had different colored. They actually like went through and painted different colors on the supports underneath it, and they had different schedules. And so it was like the night before, they went through and removed all the blue supports. The day of at 8 a.m., they removed the yellow supports, and then later on they removed the next supports to where it literally is just barely being held on, so that when the time comes, all they had to do was move a couple supports and gravity would take its sport. It was
Wow,
fascinating.
that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's pretty cool.
And then it did go into obviously the event, what actually happened, how it hit the iceberg, that kind of thing, and then it went into a memorial. Everybody's name that was on the ship was there. Then they talked again the construction, right? So when this thing launched, because it was so brand new, not everything on the Titanic was finished. We don't ever think about that. It wasn't a complete ship, and you see that happen with cruise ships now, like when Icon of the Seas or when Carnival launched what was Jubilee recently. Those ships sailed back to America empty because they weren't done with them. Even though that they were done, they were still fixing little things here and there, right? And so Titanic's no exception. They got it cruisable, ocean worthy, but there are a few things that needed to be fixed. Maybe this boiler's not quite working right, or the heater in this room's not working right, or whatever. So they actually they talked about how they had cabinet makers on the cruise ship on the Titanic that were actually going through and fixing cabinets that were just broken people's rooms because they just weren't everything wasn't done perfect. They talked about how Harlan Wolf, or I think it's Wolf, they had people on the ship working in the machine rooms, getting things dialed in, finishing things up, and all that stuff. And so, obviously, when the Titanic went down, they went down with the ship, and they talked about how Harlan and Wolf paid all their kids' school bills. They fed and clothed the family for the rest of their lives, kind of thing. Like they really stepped up and took care of
Wow.
their employees that died on that ship, and it was like, holy cow! It's not only like what a cool thing to do, but it's also what a cool thing to do in a time where just having a job was it, and it was kind of like you're a commodity. Oh, you died? Oh well. Like, you know what I mean? Like that really,
Right.
you think about the early 1900s, that's pre-OSHA, that's pre-anything. They didn't have
Sure.
hard hats yet. They hadn't invented
Sure.
them yet. Like, so for a company back then to step up and say, we're going to take care of people, is fascinating. Loved it. Even better is when you get outside, they actually have the tender that was built for the Titanic. So I can't remember the name in France. There's one of the cities. It's not Le Havre. It's another one. The water, the port's not deep enough for Titanic, so Titanic can't get in there. But it's one they're going to go to every week. So they actually built a ship, a tender, a pretty big size one, about the size of a riverboat. Have you ever seen like a New Orleans riverboat going down the
Yes.
like with the paddle wheel? About that size, but no paddle wheel. And that was going to take the first class and some of the second class passengers from the land to the ship. That never would have economy. It would only have those two classes. And it was actually designed by Thomas, I can't remember his last name, that designed the Titanic. It was built for the Titanic. And so all the the flooring, the wall material, all that's identical to what he put in the Titanic so that you would have a uniform experience. So it's literally the closest thing any of us can actually have to having the real Titanic experience because everything
exciting.
is
Wow.
exactly authentic. Little things like I'd heard, Titanic's one of their big thing is they had linoleum floors, which are brand new back in the day. Linoleum floors. I always imagined in my head linoleum tile floors like I had growing up. Nay. These are big pieces of linoleum, and then they've actually gone through and cut out patterns and then put different colors of linoleum in these patterns.
Wow.
And it was really nice. I've never seen linoleum work done like that. It was definitely not what I had in my mind about how they handled the linoleum or whatever. So the little things like that, it was really, really cool to see. Here's this thing that's built for the Titanic. Like again, it's just Thomas Andrews, that's who it is, that designed it. So that was cool. You actually go and see that, and
That would be kind of eerie.
if you
Like a replica.
well, but it's not a replica because it's the actual tender that was built for the
That's what I'm
Titanic. So
saying.
it's
But I mean,
yeah,
the materials are the same.
I
So
know.
you kind of get that feeling
you
of
definitely
what it.
you definitely get the vibe of the Titanic. You
Yeah.
definitely feel it. I mean, they have a little champagne bar in there too, which I thought was great, and
You can even tell the floor, the design of the linoleum on the floor is different. First class, second class.
big
So
time different.
you can always tell if you're first class,
Where you
don't
should
go
be.
past
Yes.
here, or if you're second class, you can't go past here, and you can tell by the floor.
Yeah, and again, second class is like business class to us. Like it's still nice. it's just not what first class
Right.
has. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a big design difference
big
between
design difference.
Second was kind of bland,
Yeah.
uniform. But you go into first class, very elaborate.
And it's all enclosed. The
Mhm.
economy, or third class, I guess back then they had it. Third class ship, it's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. It was smaller than this boat, held twice as many people, and it was all there was no interior. It was all just an open ferry.
Wow.
Didn't say they
So
use that for materials and equipment?
yeah, they'd bring in luggage. They'd bring the people over. That if they needed any construction materials, anything for the Titanic, it would all have gone on that ship, and they'd have brought that over. And if it's a storm and whatever, well, you're just getting wet.
Wow.
Like crazy differences on how they handle that stuff. You know, nowadays, I mean, you can get the cheapest room on a cruise ship. You're still going to be treated like royalty.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's just nuts how much that's changed.
Yeah.
But it was very cool. Really enjoyed that time. We didn't go into the city of Belfast at all, so they didn't get any of that experience. But that was really cool. Then we left there and we go to Dublin, where we had our first wah wah wah. We've had our first of the trip. The weather in Dublin was too rough, and we couldn't dock. Or not dock, but we couldn't tender.
Oh.
So Dad and my sister missed out on Dublin. That one stunk. I had booked us a trip to the Jameson Distillery, and I was really looking forward to having a pint of Guinness with my dad in Dublin. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
a cool thing to do, and we missed out on that, but c'est la vie. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Where did we go after that, Eric? Did we go to Cork after that? I think we did. Cobb. Went to Cobb after that. No, we went somewhere else. I'm missing something somewhere. We went somewhere else. I don't recall what it was. And then we went to Cobb.
They
Which-
serve blue cheese with that?
No blue cheese, but bacon and egg.
Oh, nice.
It's very odd.
As you should.
No. So I went to Cobb, and in Cobb, I had not booked us anything to do. I looked around, and I'm like, there's nothing to do. It's the city's not close. You got to take a train in, which you can take a train in, and the train station is literally right there when you get off the boat. So they do make it convenient. But it was like walk around a flea market was one of the things we could do, and I don't know, wasn't that great? I'm looking online. Guess what's just outside of Cobb?
I don't know.
Corn.
Dublin?
No, but close.
Okay.
Jameson Distilling.
Huh.
Oh.
So I'm like, I'm confused. I looked it up. The Jameson tour in Dublin is the old plant
Okay.
distillery. It's just a museum now, and it's been shut down for 100 years
In Dublin.
in Dublin. The one in outside of Cobb is the one they're currently using.
Oh.
So I'm like, let me see. Sure enough, they had availability. So Eric, Dad, and I grabbed 3 tickets. We jumped on the train and hightailed it over to
Nice.
the Jameson Distillery.
Nice.
Melissa was going to go in Dublin, but at the last minute there in Cobb, she's like, I'm not really feeling it. So she didn't go with us. But that was awesome. We got we did this distillery tour, and then I for like $20 more, you could add on a premium whiskey tasting. And I'm
Okay.
like, well, who doesn't want premium?
Yeah, of
whiskey?
course.
You got to try the premium whiskey.
Of course.
Right?
Had a great time. Really cool to see the difference in a bourbon distillery, which we did a few years ago, versus a Irish whiskey,
Yeah, I
and
bet.
how they do the differences. And it was really fascinating. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna spare you the minutia, but I discovered 2 different Irish whiskeys I'd never even heard of. Never tried, never heard of them. Amazing.
Wow.
Really impressed by them. And they sell them at
Locally?
Kroger. They sell them at Kroger.
nice.
Oh.
So I'm like, score.
Nice.
One of them is way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. Premium whiskey tour, we'll do that to you. But no, just had a great time. Really enjoyed it. We ended up coming downstairs. We had another flight of whiskey of just the stuff that you can only buy at the distillery.
Okay.
None of it was worth buying. Some of it was good, but none of it was worth buying. And then jumped on a train and came back. And
How exciting that you got to do that.
oh, it was great. But what was even greater, from Jameson to the train is about a 20-minute walk. And so we start walking back, and the realization that the 3 of us had just had
All of that whiskey.
9 pours of whiskey. Now, not again, we're talking tasting, so they're
Small,
very
yeah.
small, but it was enough. So we popped into a convenience store and we ended up getting Pringles, and we got shrimp prawn cocktail.
Pringles.
Prawn
cocktail,
cocktail
Pringles.
Pringles.
Okay.
And then we got like smoked barbecue brisket Pringles or something. And then we got regular sour cream and onion because we didn't know if those were going to taste good, and we needed a backup just
you
in
need a backup
case.
for just in case.
The-
Paprika.
They didn't have any of the paprika ones, man. They got so hard to find up there. I couldn't find them anywhere. Should have got them when we had them, but they the prawn was so good.
Really?
We ended up getting them later on too. Like they were so good.
Were they taste like shrimp?
No, not really, but they taste like all the seasoning you would season shrimp with.
Ah.
So
that's what they're catching me on.
Yes,
All that
it was
salt.
salt and
the
the
good salties.
and like a little bit of the not horseradishy and the tomatoey and the from the cocktail.
Yeah.
Like a little bit Old Bay kind of outstanding. It was so good. And then salt, of course, because Pringles are always salty.
Yeah.
Of course.
So we ate that to sober up on the way back, and then we literally got on the ship and went straight to dinner.
By the time we got back to the train, I was taking one chip from each flavor and
Making a
eating them all at
sandwich.
once.
Making a sandwich.
Yes,
a Pringle sandwich.
it was great. That was a lot of fun. And then sailed back to Dover, and you're like, well, you finally went home, right?
Yeah.
Nay, nay.
Nay. Another nay. Who's surprising you? I know it wasn't us.
This time was no surprise.
Aww.
We jumped on a train, rode back to Heathrow, which was a
really long
cluster
word.
word that we can't use on the podcast.
It rhymes with duck.
It does. Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. I'm like, how do you people have cruise ships in and out of here all the time, and your train system to get back is this nightmare? Y'all's was easy, right?
It was so easy.
Horrible for us. Horrible nightmare. And did they even close the Dover station? It wasn't even open. Wasn't even open. We had to ride a bus to another. Anyways.
And
So-
then the second we got off the bus, started pouring down rain.
Starts pouring down rain.
Us
There's
and
no-
our luggage.
There's no covering anywhere. There's not a ticket machine. I had pre-bought tickets, but you still had to print them out. No tickets machine, and the little kiosk was closed. The bathrooms were padlocked. Anyways.
And you had
So-
the whole boat doing this?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Just 3,000 people.
So we had a two-level bus. They put the people on the top level
And the
and put
luggage
our
on the-
luggage on the bottom level.
Yeah.
But imagine a whole bus and their luggage getting
Why don't
out
they ride
in
the
the pouring
train?
rain.
And there was like 3 buses there. It wasn't just our bus.
But why don't they do the train on days where
I don't know.
ships are coming
I
back?
don't know. Oh, it was crazy. Anyways, we take the train to London Heathrow. We get to London Heathrow. We ride the rental car bus over to the rental car station. Rented a car. Drove to Edinburgh, 7.5 hours.
Wow.
So it's a long way to go when you're fresh off a cruise ship.
Yeah, it is.
And then
And who's we?
me, Dad, and Melissa, and
Okay.
Eric did a couple days in Edinburgh, and then we drove to. So my family's Irish, obviously. If you can't, or Scotch Irish, if you can't tell by the facial hair. And we went to the family castle. Family castle, you can't go to the castle, but you can go to the grounds. They are beautiful.
And what's the name?
The Drummond Castle. We actually got a big lineage thing because we are family, or we are family. I guess that's the right word. So we got a huge lineage thing
Descendants.
that's like a special whatever for being part of that that you don't normally get, but they have it for the lineage, and it was great. Had a great time. Strolled the grounds,
The
Um,
largest flower garden I think I've ever seen.
and it was like an Alice in Wonderland type garden where
It's all shapes.
it's all shapes. There's statues. The trees, a Hershey Kiss. You know what I mean? Like it
Oh,
was
how fun.
stunning.
statues.
Oh yeah, it's
and all
great.
the circled
What do they call those?
corners.
Are they called grottos? Where there's like like into a cave with water and stuff. Is that
Yep,
called a grotto?
grotto.
Yeah, all that. Huge lake with a bridge. I mean, just perfection. And of course, they talked about how like all that was below the defense of the castle walls, and you know when the peasants would come and do the whole William Wallace Braveheart thing that happened. You know, all that got destroyed and then had to be rebuilt. But it was just fascinating to hear all that, see all that, and actually be somewhere where it's like, wow, so this is not like, oh, we recover from here. It's like, no, we really do. This really is the family home. Like, it's just a weird.
That would be weird.
It's a weird thing to see and experience, and it was really nice. Enjoyed that, and then we went to the Isle Sky. We spent a few days at the Isle Sky just touring around and seeing stuff. The bottom line to the Isle Sky is there's no city. Everything closes at 8. The terrain is unbelievably beautiful.
Very overcast.
Very overcast. We did run into the Scottish midges, which do bite there. And
Which they did there.
They did there, not in Iceland, but they did there. And I got to go to a Scotch distillery, so we did check the Scotch. So we went to Talisker by the sea and did that. I think Melissa brought y'all back
She did.
a little
She
baby
brought us a
bottle,
little
right?
Back. Yeah.
She did.
You know, I thought
It's very thoughtful of her.
I thought it was very cool because she asked me when we were in there. She's like, I want to get one for them, but I don't know which one to get. And I'm like, well, they're not huge Scotch drinkers, so get them this one. Because they had some that were like stupid expensive. I'm like,
I mean, no,
I don't
that'd be a
think.
waste of money.
Yeah, you don't. Not that you wouldn't appreciate the thought behind it, but the thought's the same, even if you get the $20
Right.
bottle or whatever. it was.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Of course.
yeah, but it was a really cool experience. I mean,
the whole bag was beautiful that she brought back.
well, the distillery was unique, wasn't it,
yeah.
Eric? It was super interesting. It was not like the other distilleries we had been to. The tasting, the tour guide was so cool. He, normally they're like on the edge of the seat telling you everything, yada yada. It's very proper. That dude went and grabbed a chair, sat down next to us, started drinking along with it.
It was definitely by far the best tasting experience
Yes,
we've ever been in.
he was super nice, and just everybody in the room hit it off. Melissa tasted the scotches. It was really funny to see her try 3 different scotches.
You remember the Benedict tonic I brought back?
Yeah.
He's the one who suggested
Yes,
we get that.
Yep, he is.
Nice.
So again, had a great time. It's a beautiful facility, and then went back to London Heathrow Airport, which was a 13-hour drive from there. So we split it up over 2 days. And no, I did not realize it was that long of a drive when I planned this trip.
Wow.
So get back to London Heathrow.
Was all the scenery beautiful on your drives?
Yes,
Okay.
gorgeous.
So those were
Gorgeous.
So the drives were worth it. Okay.
Gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous.
Nice.
Oh, and I did. I sneaked in a surprise from Melissa. I did get us over to Loch Ness, so we did actually get to see Loch Ness. No monster, but we got to see Loch Ness.
I
which
I
was
just
cool.
think
was a monster.
I saw
was
a
about to
monster.
Oh, there
say,
was.
yeah.
Oh, that's
I
right.
saw a
I take it
picture of
back.
a
I'm
monster.
sorry. I'm sorry. Well, that was more of a bring your
here?
own.
Right here, above Vince and Patrick, you'll see.
The
Yeah,
monster.
yeah,
The
it's hard to
monster.
see. Can you make it the whole screen?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There you go.
Look at that. Okay, now let's look at that. Isn't that cool?
It is
That's
very
awesome.
cool.
She made that.
I saw that posted, and then her and I moved some trucks while Vince was out. Anyway, she asked me if I saw it, and I'm like, yeah. And I said, was that really yours? Like, I guess I hadn't put 2 and 2 together that she had made it and she had placed it.
Yeah,
And now you're telling me where it's at.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me that part.
yeah.
How cool for her, though. What an
I
experience.
got cool updates from her all the way along the way of building it.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one point where she wasn't going to put scales on it. I'm like, you have to put the scales on it.
Yeah, you're going to.
She's like, I'm not going to have time. I said, yeah, with the scales on it.
Yeah.
And she did.
What was
Yeah.
really.
She did.
I mean, it was super cool, and I
Yeah.
guess I just didn't know until this moment right here where she took it. But again, when she originally posted it, I thought it was just something. She's part of a lot of the crochet groups,
Yes.
so I did think it was
And
something she just found and thought it was cool because she's done
and she
other
does
things.
she does make other things like last year's she
She
won
did
best
Owl.
she won best in show for
at the State Fair,
Ohio State
yeah.
Fair. So
Yeah.
she does some really cool stuff
Yeah.
like
So,
that.
anyways, how
But
cool
she
for
still
her.
hadn't done me anything. Anyway, so
But anyways, how cool for her,
I
and
know.
how
you know what was
how
great?
sweet that you went out of the way for her to have that moment.
And you know what was great? So she does this, right? And a tour bus pulls up right behind her. And so
She
they
had-
all walk down to the water, and she had a tour bus full of people like, oh
Now
my gosh, that's so cool.
So now they only photo ops.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she had just enough time to take the pictures she needed before they showed up.
Yes, it was
Wow.
hysterical. And yeah, it was great. And for the particular photo op, Eric and I stayed in the car, and we actually watched the tour bus show up. And we're like, oh, that's not good.
My God.
We're going to be a little bit longer than we planned.
Yeah. So had a great time. Again, we get back to London Heathrow. We drop off the car in.
We thought we saw somebody else at that same stop.
I think we did. I don't know his name, so I can't say it. But I'll try to remember. Maybe I'll tell you on the next episode. But so we get back to London Heathrow, get back to the rental car place, said goodbye to Eric and Melissa.
Your
and
sister.
My sister.
Yes.
And literally at the rental car place. Didn't even get to the hotel. I didn't even get to the airport. They had to go to a different terminal. We were in a different bus. And Dad and I jumped on a bus. And then we flew to do a little European guys trip. He and I have not flown and done a big trip like that. We've done a couple little things in the States, and all through high school and middle school and all that, we did a lot of trips together, a lot of camping trips and stuff, and we just haven't done a he and I trip in forever. I was like, we're already there. We've already got, like the battle is the crazy expensive tickets to get to Europe. Once you're in Europe, a flight's less than $100. It's really cheap to get around Europe. So I'm like, we're already here. Let's just do this. So we took a week and we flew to Barcelona, and then we went to Venice, and then we went to Berlin, and then back to Paris, and just had a guys bonding trip, and so much fun. I mean, if you get in a situation where you can do it, do it. I've got some great trips with my mom. I've talked to you, Vince, before, and Melissa about me and mom going out to Tennessee, and we stopped at the hotel in Memphis, the
Peabody.
No, the
with the ducks that walk through and
no. I'm talking about the Civil Rights Museum.
Oh, the Lorraine.
The Lorraine. Thank you.
Yeah.
So like I was with her. Went to the Hotel Lorraine. I didn't even know it was still there. She's the one that introduced it to me, and like all that stuff. So it's been really. And if you don't know, that's where Martin Luther King was shot.
Correct.
And so.
And now it's a Civil Rights Museum.
Now it's Civil Rights Museum. It's an awesome place. If you get the chance, go. You feel the tingles on your hair.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
It's not just about his assassination and his life.
Correct.
It's about civil rights.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I've done all that with mom, and she's now passed. So it was nice to do all that with dad, and hopefully get to do it again with him. I really had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
I think you got emotional. Let's just go with this. You text us all about a moment in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I think
that was cool.
I think what a moment to, and I'll let you explain it here in a moment, but for me on the outside in, what a moment to be there, just period. But to share it with someone like your dad, and I knew that you were doing this guy's trip for reasons. I just thought, what a unique thing that the two of you will have forever.
Yeah.
So I will let you share. What is this really cool thing that happened in Barcelona? Not
So-
that I will let you share.
Yeah.
Please share.
So we did a bunch in Barcelona. I had a
Yes.
great time. I love Barcelona. I've been there a couple times now. It's a great city. We're going to go back. Can't wait. I haven't planned it, but I just know it's one of the places we're going to go back. So we're sitting on top of the hotel. It's 8, 9 o'clock at night. The European football cup is going on, right? Championship. And it's England versus Spain.
España. Yeah.
And so what's really fun is Barcelona is very anti-Spain. Very anti-Spain. It's Catalonia. It's not Spanish. They're very different cultures. People that go to Madrid and they go to Barcelona, they're like, oh, it's night and day difference, even though they're about the same age and they speak the same language.
You'd say Northern Ireland and Ireland.
Exactly.
Minus the religion difference.
Yes, correct. But they're very different culturally, and they don't like each other. I mean, Barcelona has Barça, which is their soccer team, and they're a really good team. So, but Barca wasn't in it, and so they do pull for Spain during that time, and they're nuts about their football, which is soccer. And so we're sitting up there at the top. At this hotel. It's a really nice viewing platform up there. They have a little bar, swimming pool up there as well. And we're in a chair, just I think I had a beer, just chilling out, and we hear from across the entire city, and it's a big city. There's about 3 million people, so it's big. This roar from across the entire city, like insane. I've never in my life experienced anything like it. And we're like, what is going on? And I told him, I'm like, it's got to be a football game. I can't think of anything else. Like, and I looked it up, and sure enough, España just got their first goal. Then it stops. We're chatting some more. Happens again. And it's like, what? Like crazy. So I pull up my map. Sure enough, 2 points. But I did notice at that point that they had already, England already scored 1 point. So it's England 1, Espana 2. And, then it gets quiet again. And so we're just sitting there enjoying our time. And football is so weird. Like, if you love it, and more power to you. But they run the clock out the whole time. And then they add minutes somehow. And it's very confusing how they do it. And I did read some articles where people are like, yeah, that's how you know it's rigged, because it's hard to explain where those minutes come from. But anyways, so then I knew that the time had run out, but we were in this overtime period of who knows how many minutes. Yada. Anyways, then it happens. Cannon fire starts going off. The roar commences again, but louder than it's ever been. Fireworks start going off, which is different than cannon fire. Cars are literally honking all across the city, and it stays like that. When I finally fell asleep with earplugs in around 3:30 in the morning, it was still doing that.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. I've never seen a group of people that go that hardcore. And we're talking to this, I mean, for that loud, it had to be a million people at least that were causing that much noise across the entire city. And I mean, again, you're seeing fireworks way out in the distance on every side of you, because we were pretty central to the center city. And it was crazy. Dad and I are like walking around trying to find everything and see where they're parading, and like,
Gives me goosebumps. I think it'd just be super cool to see.
it was very awesome. I don't know how you even plan to see that again. Like,
Yeah.
you just go to Barcelona again and hope
That you win?
that you win, And then it was the championship, so that just escalated it so much further and everything. And so, yeah, it was great. I absolutely loved it. It was, I don't know. I'm lucky and blessed that there have been a few things that we've been able to do over the years where I've been able to experience things like that. I've done it with both Jerry. I've done it with y'all. I've done it with Eric. And then to just do that with just Dad and I, it was like, this is cool. This is another
that's
memory
really cool.
I'm not ever going to forget.
No.
And
I won't be able to
it's-
replicate with any, like you said, what are the odds?
Exactly. So yeah, that was our memory from there. But we did do everything. We went to the Gothic Quarter. If you haven't been to Barcelona, or if you're curious, look it up. Go. The Familia, Sagrada Familia, which is the big cathedral in the middle that they're still building. They've been building on for 100 years. It is unbelievably gorgeous. It is by far my favorite cathedral of every church I've ever been to. By far my favorite. Eric, would you agree? It is just like
The
stunning.
only one that compares to it is the Vatican. And then it's a completely different
Completely
style.
different experience. But yes, I agree with you. And so I did that. Went out to a monastery with my dad out in Barcelona. I mean, just had a great trip. Went to Venice in the middle of the heat wave. Oh my gosh, it was so hot. It was miserable. It was just miserably hot. We made the best of it. We rallied, but miserably hot. I mean, just like
the box of a Panther truck?
yes. Yeah, nice throwback to last episode.
I know, right?
It was crazy hot, and then we went to Berlin, which I mean, as soon as we got off the plane in Berlin, Dad was like, "Well, this feels nicer." Like it was just so much cooler in Berlin. Got to see that wall, which was cool because I just seen Belfast Wall, so I'm like, "Oh, this is cool that I actually get to see the difference in the two, and just really see what Hitler wasn't a good thing." And, we learned a little bit on a tour about how he gained his power, what the political situation was, how it allowed him to come to power, and what they were doing, and a lot about their culture. And it's really fascinating. I was worried that I wouldn't like it because there's not a lot of tourist things to do there, because we blew them up in the World War II.
Yeah.
And then the Russians did a good job of finishing the job with the East and West Germany. But no, actually, quite a bit, very knowledgeable, enjoyed it, had some great food. That also surprised me. I was really thinking German food. We're going to have sausage and potatoes and sauerkraut every
Schnitzel?
night. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I had some of the best food. Did I send you some pictures
You
of
did.
the?
You did.
Yeah.
Oh.
They have a thing called currywurst. Oh, it's the sausage with ketchup and then curry powder. It sounds so simple. It is dynamite. Just all kinds of fun stuff. So did that. Then we went to Paris, and we were in Paris 4 days before the Olympics started. It was a madhouse. Madhouse.
Oh, I bet.
Did get to go to the Eiffel Tower, which I was scared we weren't. Did get to go to it. It was very locked down. If you didn't have a ticket, you couldn't get on property, period. But we were able to go there, do the whole summit, everything. I was nervous. Oh, they're only going to let us go up so much. Get to everything. We're up there and we're watching. If you watch the opening ceremonies where Celine Dion was standing and singing, and the camera that's like going way out and doing all those shots, we watched him hanging it and testing the cameras and getting all that stuff ready.
Wow.
So it was really cool to see all that happen on the opening
Before it
ceremony.
happened.
Yeah, but to see like put it together, because I didn't know Celine Dion was gonna be singing there. I just knew they were rigging a camera and a stage. And then on our way to the Notre Dame, there were all these dancers dancing in water, and we couldn't figure out what they were doing. But then you see it on the opening ceremony. It's like, oh, okay, that's really cool. I see now what they were doing. And the only thing that we couldn't get to was the Louvre. The Louvre was just like the Eiffel Tower. If you didn't have a ticket, you couldn't get in. And as I said before, we're not doing a ticket to the Eiffel to the Louvre because it's so overwhelming. We had 2.5 days there. There wasn't enough time.
Right.
So, but everything else was great. Got to see everything else. Got to accomplish everything else. Went to one Michelin star restaurant with my dad there as well. Had a wonderful experience, and really just had a great time. While we're talking about Paris, I want to add on something to last week's conversation where I said Eric and I went to Paris a few weeks prior to this.
Yes.
We went to the Moulin Rouge.
Ooh.
Can I say it was excellent? I had no idea what to expect. I'm like, I know it's kind of a burlesque show, but it includes a 3-course or 4-course dinner. It's world famous for this movie, but is it any good? Reviews are very polarizing online, and I had such a fun time. The food was great. Eric, what did you think when you were there?
It was overwhelming. To see like 25, 30 plus people all on stage dancing at the same time.
Yes.
I'm trying to compare it to the one we saw in Cuba. I think it's better than that.
I think it was better than the one in Cuba, but not by much, but it was better than the one that we saw in Cuba. But it was bigger, it had air conditioning, things like that made a difference.
Sat at a table for 4, and we made friends with a couple sitting next to us.
Oh, we did. Oh, that was great. So the people next to us,
Young kids,
boyfriend, girlfriend. She's there in college. He's already through trade school back home, and he's a plumber now, and he works for his dad's company. He's going to take over. I don't know why I told you all that, but now you know. So we just hit it off. Had a great time bantering back and forth with them. We laughed and all this stuff. And at first,
it was really odd.
Yeah, the tables are
Seems
like
so
literally
close.
2 inches apart from each other, so it's separate, but like not really.
Yeah.
And didn't even have enough room for a cup to fall between them.
Exactly. So it was
Wow.
kind of weird, but then again, we hit it off so quick it was over with. And but behind me, where the other table was the fight of the century.
Really?
Patrick couldn't
Their
see.
table, their table
Pat-
didn't get along.
The husband and wife didn't get along.
Oh.
Patrick couldn't see because it was behind him, and I couldn't see because Patrick was in front of me. But the girl next to me saw everything.
She saw everything. I caught bits and pieces. I saw him walk out at one point, and then he came back, and then I knew and then I felt him leave because it's very kite, so you feel people kind of rubbing against you as they walk in the aisle. Not bad, but you do notice it. And so I noticed he got up, and this time he brought his jacket with him because it is a nice place. You do dress up for this place. And then she stayed for a little bit, like crying at the table, and then she got up and left, and it was like, what just like, it was super strange, super weird. They had a huge fight, and so when it was all said and done, they were sitting next to people, so we just asked them what happened, and the lady there didn't speak great English, so she was trying her best to explain the whole situation or whatever, and it was like, holy cow, I cannot believe we're at this like festive, upbeat, exciting, theatrical, very expensive performance, and they're having like the fight of the century. I'm like, couldn't you wait till like after? I don't know.
Or sit there in silence.
Right?
angry at each other, and then, like
Yes.
you said, have it after.
Oh, it was so
Well, too bad
strange.
for them.
Yeah, too bad for them.
It's always fun to make friends, though.
I hope they put it back together. But it was fun to make friends, and of course, it was really fun to gossip about that. But so we 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 wish that young couple well. But it was
The show itself, the costumes, the colors,
yeah,
the lighting, the size of the stage.
it is.
And you would think just people dancing. They also had different performances in between,
Yes,
like
like Cirque du Soleil style acts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
so it's
Wow.
like in stages.
Yes. And
cool.
yeah, and it was a nice running theme. It was pretty. It was very cool. I will say this: if you go there and you're thinking about going, keep in mind it is a real burlesque show. So it is.
Don't
our-
take
You
children.
will see stuff.
don't take children. It is definitely topless for part of it. So if it's not your thing, don't go. You won't enjoy it because I did see a lot of people online going, I didn't know, and I don't want you to take this review the wrong way.
Sure.
If you are okay with that, it's a great time. There's nothing like
raunchy or
raunchy at all. It's very classy, but it is still
nothing intentionally sexual.
correct. Yeah, nothing at all. Which is crazy. You think it would be, but it's really not.
But I think it's part of the burlesque.
Yeah,
Like if you know history of burlesque.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Even a section of the show, I got a little sentimental. If you look at the colors of the French flag,
it's American.
if it's not on the flag, it's red, white, and blue. So
It
I
just-
thought
if-
they got a whole performance just for us.
oh my gosh, it literally felt
Red,
like
white, and blue.
yeah, for that section, it felt like a 1940s, American town hall with the girls dancing in the big dresses and everything. Like it really kind of had that vibe. It was very cool.
Interesting.
But yeah. So again, it's a great time if you ever find yourself in Paris.
And you're warned.
You've been warned about that, but the rest of the experience is fantastic. And then we flew home. Flying home was fairly uneventful, and well,
Nothing got canceled.
that's not true. We had while we were there, if you remember, Delta and everybody
Delta
else had an epic meltdown.
Yeah.
Microsoft meltdown. or
Microsoft
something.
meltdown, yeah. So we were in Paris looking at this going like, oh, hope we can fly home. And we did fly home 4 hours late, got to JFK, just knew we weren't going to make the flight. There's no way we were going to make the connection, but immigration went through lightning quick. Customs went through really quick. Our luggage came out really quick. And I'm like, we might make this flight. So we dropped the bags off. When I dropped the bags off, there was a little bit of hassle. So I told Dad, go. Just go to TSA, get on the plane. If I don't make it, I'll fly tomorrow. But just go. So he did, and the lady said she worked it all out. She was like, I can't get your bags on this flight. It's too close to call. But I can put them on a flight for tomorrow, and you'll just get them later, whatever. And I'm like, done. Make it so. And so then I had to run. At JFK at the terminal, there's a recheck area you can go to on the first floor. It was closed. So, like, to go through TSA. So I actually had to go all the way up to the top through the main TSA. And I'm like, I'm not going to make it. It's just not going to happen. I got through TSA pre-check fairly quick. And then I'm texting Dad. I already told Dad I was in line at TSA. I'm at TSA. If you get there, let me know. He's like, I'm here now. I said, well, let them know. I'm on my way. I got held up, but I'm on my way. And he let him know. And, like, I'm running through duty free. I'm elbowing people out of my way. I knocked someone down an escalator. It was just a madhouse. He's calling me while I'm running. They want to know where you're at because they really got to close this door. And I'm like, I'm at gate 7. Just tell them to hold it a little bit longer. And I'm literally running through JFK Terminal 4. I've not had to do that in a very long time. And I get down there as I get down because there's an escalator to get to a lower level. They're like, is Patrick Lee in the building? If Patrick Lee's in the building, we are about to close the door. We need you here at the gate immediately. And as she's making that announcement, they're like staring at the escalator to see if I'm coming down.
Right.
And I see him and I wave and she sees me and she waves back and I'm like, so I did a little sprint over to the gate. She said, Patrick? And I said, yeah. She scanned my boarding pass. I got on that jet bridge. I'd never felt more accomplished in my life than stepping on that jet bridge. I got to there. I was so late. They had already given my seat to someone else. And so I had to take a different seat. So I sat down. I had a window seat, which is nice to have a window seat, but like I am drenched head to toe in sweat. I'm nasty. I'm tired. I have to use the bathroom really badly, but I can't because we're leaving.
10,000 feet.
So wait, 10,000 feet. It was crazy. Yeah. So, but you know what? Got home. My luggage actually missed the flight the next day it was supposed to do.
Oh my goodness.
So because they delayed it an extra day, Delta brought my luggage to the house. I didn't have to go
Nice.
back to the airport and pick it up.
Nice.
Oh,
So that was really nice. I kind of won on that one. Yeah, so that's been my adventure. It was a crazy time in Europe.
Wow.
I thank all of y'all for letting me have this time out. Look, I was gone for a long time. I don't take that for granted. I know it's only because Hyfield has such a strong backbone of staff and such quality teams that enabled me to make this happen. And I'm really appreciative. Thank you all so much for letting us have this time. Thank you for letting me have the time with my dad. It was a really wonderful trip. I will not be doing it next year. I've still been traveling international. We do have a trip coming up next year, but it won't be during summertime, and it won't be for anywhere near as long. But it had a great summer. I've got
I feel like you hit the ground running though, even when you got back home.
I did.
'Cause summer's not quite over.
I have, and I'll tell you about that. But first, I want to hear, while it's still on Chili's mind, I want to hear all about your exciting trip. It's the Lokeshires over here. We haven't heard from you. I
Yes.
understand that y'all got the opportunity to go down to the countryest little town in Ohio,
Oh, the countryest little town.
Cincinnati, for a game, right?
Oh,
We did. We got invited by one of our vendors to a baseball game.
Well, that's all the time we have, unfortunately. So, if you want to hear the rest of this story, you need to hang out and listen to part 3 of Hyfield's summer recap. Or, I'm sorry, the Outer Belts. I don't even know what time it is, day it is. It's almost 1 a.m. We are all we are shot. We've had 19 shots of espresso in these outtakes that y'all haven't seen. It's crazy. No, I don't mean to cut you off, but I am going to.
But you meant to.
So
Yeah,
I meant to.
I get it.
I mean, we talked about it.
We did talk about
it. We're
it was all set up ahead of time.
but we are. We're gonna do part 3. We have. I know a couple of these stories. I don't know a couple of these stories. They've been saving some of the stuff for the show. So I look forward to hearing some of this stuff with y'all as well.
I look forward to sharing with all of you.
yeah.
Yes. Hang on. Strap on. We're gonna do one more of these. I think we'll have a part 3, and then we'll be back to your regularly scheduled programming. In the meantime, please like, share, subscribe. Give a thumbs up. If you don't like what we're doing, give us a thumbs down. If you have an idea that, hey, I want y'all to talk about this on the Outer Belt this season. I tell you one thing I'm really curious about. If you've made it this far, we'll find out who made it this far. I don't know if we should continue Patrick's weight loss journey or not. So I'm a little
Very
torn.
good question.
I'm interested to hear what the audience
good
has to
question.
say if we should keep doing it or not, because I'm ready to eat. And but thank y'all so much for supporting us over the years. It's season 3. I can't believe it. We made it this far.
Woo!
This is insane.
Yay.
And let's keep pressing on. I can't wait to finish out the year strong with y'all. Get into next year, do it all again.
Yep.
And got a lot of stuff happening this year. We got a whole presidential
Lots of stuff
election.
going
It's gonna be a fun year.
Yeah.
So fun season.
Buckle
So-
up, Buttercup.
That's right. If you have any ideas, drop us a comment. If you prefer to email us or you have a list you want to send to us, you can reach us at
theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
that is
theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
one more time,
theouterbeltpodcast@gmail.com.
not to be confused with.
Anything else?
Yes.
That was a trick question.
It was a trick question. In the meantime, everybody stay safe, make good decisions.
Don't leave money on the table.
And keep those wheels a turning.
Bye. Come back next week.